My name is Cheryl Evans. I'm the Director of the Home Flood Protection Program at the Intact Center on Climate Adaptation at the University of Waterloo. My role is to be the director of the program, so I handle all the technical pieces of the program. I've been working with national experts to develop the Home Flood Risk Assessment program, as well as the training program, which contributed to the program that we're pleased to co-produce with the colleges this year. So I have been in charge of developing and then field testing, and now we're at the point where we're actually analyzing data from the assessments and finding out what the main lessons learned are and what we should really be sharing with homeowners to help them move toward protecting themselves from flooding. I have 2.5 years as the director of the Home Flood Protection Program at the University of Waterloo. I had 6 years at another organization where I was dealing with stormwater management, which dealt with a lot of overland flooding, as well as LID for low impact development solutions for residential and non-residential property owners. I also managed a landscape design and construction company for 5 years while my kids were home. And so I guess we'd call that close to 15 years. I think it all starts with the homeowners. We want consistent messaging from banks, from real estate agents, from insurance brokers, from the awesome colleges, from the universities, from the not-for-profits. We want all these organizations to have simple, poignant messages that are consistent and that get to the homeowner. We know that homeowners will be motivated to act if they've already had a flood. People tend to be reactive. But we know that people really pay attention to sources that they trust. So a neighbor who's had flooding has taken proactive action. Say a political figure who's had challenges with flooding, has done research, has taken action. We know that people make decisions based on who they trust. So we need to just make sure that there are consistent messages throughout that come to homeowners in a consistent way. It's interesting, every person gathers information and makes decisions a little bit differently. So, for example, if someone is looking for a new insurance policy, and if their well-informed broker is able to bring up information to them about new products, new risks that are happening because of climate change, it will open their minds to the increasing risks. If, for example, a broker can provide them information about the increased risk, the actions they can take, and the discounts they can get for taking action, that will help to drive them. If there are messages that are put out through social media, through the newspaper, through counselor newsletters about the increased risks, and especially about subsidies available to help people take advantage to reduce their risk, that's really important too. We know that people are motivated to take action if if it's easy for them to take action and if they recognize there's a problem. So discounts and subsidies are really, really helpful, for sure. We've started to get some data in on this, and I still have to do some more analysis, and we still have to look at about 300 more assessment follow-ups. But what I'm seeing for top ranked is that people don't have money to attend to these things, people don't have time, and they also don't see the urgency. So we have to remember that if we want to talk about that order, We can talk to people, like I was mentioning, about discounts, about subsidies, about, say, even volunteer programs that are going to come and do some work for people. If there's a lack of time, sometimes people need to understand that a lot of these actions are very quick and easy to take care of, to help them understand that this is really not a hard thing to do. Also, if they can't do it themselves, they need to have access to a list of reliable contractors, because that's the time factor. The urgency is the last piece. This is the trickiest. Most people don't think that flooding will ever happen to them, but we have to impress upon people that the climate is changing. What we're seeing that's most problematic are these really intense storms with clouds that sort of trail along or just dump a massive amount of rain over a short period of time in a very limited locale. What that means is essentially anybody is at risk, because it's like playing weather roulette. You don't know when that cloud is going to land on you and you're going to be the lucky, unlucky winner. So I think we need to develop a culture of prevention where there's consistent messaging, not scary messaging, but just informing people that risks are increasing, that there are convenient ways that people can take action. There is money to access to take action. There are discounts for taking action, and there are people, professionals, who can do assessments, for example, to help them prioritize their actions, but also there are contractors that can help them do the work and have a guarantee for the work that's done. There are quite a list of top-ranked items, but what I've done with my colleague Rob, who does data analysis with me, we've looked at the top-ranked items. We've also looked at the most cost-effective items, the highest risk actions, and the lowest tech options. So what we've done is we've synthesized all the information and came up with some very basic tips. We made a separate video about that you can watch and share with your clients if you'd like. The first thing is, we know about 40% of people have downspouts that are only 4 inches. They're too short. And also 50% of people have sump pump discharge pipes that are too short. So when massive amounts of water come out of those downspouts or discharge pipes, they deposit at foundation and can potentially make their way into the house. So we're asking people to add on extensions that are 6 feet or 2 meters or to the nearest drainage swale. That can often be done in a weekend. You can get hinged downspouts for only $5 that are easy to pop the downspout up so you can mow around it. It takes a matter of minutes to take care of these things, and just check every season to make sure that someone hasn't ripped off the extension or jumped on it. We see a lot of crushed downspouts. You just have to keep an eye on that, because the kids love to run over them and maybe hit each other with them. I don't know what they're doing. But just check to make sure that they're still in good condition. So that's number one. Number two, we know that a huge potential risk in the home is that sump pits will overflow with water, and that happens if the sump pump is not working. So a sump pump is a pump that's in essentially a bucket in your basement that collects water from the drainage tile, foundation drain, that goes all the way around your house, collects water to keep the foundation dry. It dumps water into that bucket, and you need that bucket to empty with the sump pump, or it will fill up your basement with sometimes thousands of liters of water. So you just need to check at least once a season. Just pull up the float or put in a bucket of water to pull up the float to make sure that it's working. And remember, the discharge pipe has to be 6 feet from the foundation, or what happens is the water cycles and just keeps going again and again. That's a really quick thing to do, just takes a few minutes. The very last thing to do is, if you have a backwater valve, a lot of people have installed these because it's a really great opportunity to take advantage of subsidies, sometimes thousands of dollars worth of subsidies, to protect your home from sewage backing up from the main sewer lines into your house. But you just have to make sure to unscrew the cap, put on your gloves, and make sure that you're using a cleaning brush to make sure there's no debris and that the flapper is moving back and forth. Dump a bucket of water to rinse it all the debris down. Tighten up the cap again. It literally takes less than a minute, and making sure that that flapper can move easily is the difference between having the worst kind of flood you could have and having no flood at all. Okay, so the Intact Center, where I work with my colleagues, have done a lot of work to take the key questions and tips that homeowners need to have information about to protect their homes. We've put it all on our resource page on our website. It's divided by national resources, it's divided by provincial resources, and all kinds of subcategories. So you can go on there, it's just homefloodprotect.ca. It's all free. We know that municipalities also have really great resources. You just just search the name of your municipality, flood protection, all their subsidies will come up, little how-to videos, really great resources. You can also check out the insurance company websites, and you really want to get familiar with what insurance you have and ask questions of your insurance provider. And one of your best resources is your broker. Have a chat with him or her, ask good questions, and you'll have the information that you need. For myself personally, we've had very small floods, and this is the most common thing. Most people are not getting the catastrophic losses. They're getting really small floods, or they're getting chronic ongoing water problems. So at our house, when we first moved in, we did have a little bit of sewage backing up through our floor, and went, ooh, what's that? So when I did the laundry, it started to come up. It also had a funny smell, so I called the city because I thought it might be a sewer leak. It turned out that the roots from the municipality's tree had gotten into the old pipes and started to rot. That's what that smell was. So because it was the city's tree, the city relined our sewer lateral. We were really lucky, and then that didn't happen anymore because the water could easily flow out. In the spring, in our new house, sometimes we do have a little bit of water in the corner. We realized it was because our downspout, again, was only this big, and when there's melting water and water from the downspouts rushing in, it just came into the basement. So there's been a few little things. Something that I found is most common, and why we made sure to put it into the training and to the assessment itself, is chronic small bits of water getting into your house over time. The reason why this is really important, there's a couple of reasons. If you have chronic small bits of water, you can have moist walls, moist floors, moist contents in your basement. It's nice and warm and moderate. There's no major breezes down there, so you're going to get mold and mildew. Ends up being a health risk. The other reason that's really important is because people have to understand that insurance coverage is for sudden and accidental mishaps. So for example, if a pipe bursts, or if you got water flying out of your drain in your basement, it's sudden and accidental. So if you have coverage, then you'll get coverage for it. But something like chronic leaking that leads to mold and mildew, they do not cover that. little bits of seepage, they do not cover that either. So it's really important for people to understand what those risks are. And a big part of dealing with that is maintenance. The first thing is to extend your downspouts and clean out your eaves troughs. Well, I love the word expert because when you don't know anything, you're gathering information so you don't feel like the expert. But as soon as the expert has passed on information to you, then you become the expert. So we learned from a home inspector, we learned from the municipality, we learned from doing some reading online. And what was really significant actually was we learned to extend our downspout, fix our grading, clean our eaves troughs out on a consistent basis, and run a dehumidifier and make sure that we have a fan going to circulate air. What really is very significant, and I think a lot of people will relate to this as well, that house that I was talking about that had the little bit of water coming up and a little bit of moisture in the basement, it actually had quite a musty smell. We wanted to sell the house. You know what? We couldn't sell that house. A part was because it smelled bad. The first lady to come down and view the house actually had an asthma attack. And as she's like running out of the house, I'm like, you can call us to make an offer if you want. And she's just like laughing and trying to find her inhaler because there's no way she's gonna buy a musty house. So we got help, we made these changes, we dried up the basement, and we ended up deciding not to sell the house and actually keeping it, and now we have a rental house. And it doesn't stink, so we have great tenants. And so the difference sometimes between selling and not selling can be as simple as not having a smelly basement. And also, everybody wants to have good health, good lung health. So making those changes and maintaining those every season have made a monetary impact on us and improved our health as well. One of the biggest barriers to making change is human behavior. We're all creatures of habit. We tend to be reactive as opposed to proactive, but there is hope. I would suggest that people have, say, a flood risk assessment at their home, look at the top actions they can take, and work with experts if needed to figure out how to do these things yourself and maintain them on a regular basis, and then get in the habit. All of this, most of the problems can be handled by doing regular maintenance. And if something is regular and boring and maintenance, we don't even think about it. We just notice our basement doesn't stink anymore. There's no water coming out of the basement floor anymore. There's no water in the corner anymore. We can sell our house if we want. But what we don't notice is the massive flooding happening, right? So doing those little bits of maintenance help prevent the big things too. So the challenge is getting people moved from thinking, oh, this is gonna be a lot of work, to, oh, this is my habit, oh, I'm changing, it's spring, I'm doing my smoke detectors, my CO detector, okay, I'm also going to make sure my downspouts are extended, clean my eaves trough, check my backwater valve, check my sump pump, check my batteries, check, check, check. It's all on the fridge. I give myself a cookie for good behavior. Repeat again in the fall. So as soon as people can make things a habit, like brushing your teeth, taking your car to get an oil change, then we've cracked the code. But it's a matter of getting people into the habit. That's what we have to work on, and that's why we're all here together.